So you've got this dream, right? Breathing underwater, floating through these incredible coral reefs. It's just an amazing idea. But then you start looking into how to get scuba certified and bam, you hit this wall of confusing prices. Well, let's dive in and figure out what the real cost of becoming a diver actually is.
You're scrolling online and there it is. An ad for a full open water scuba certification for just $49? You have to do a double take. A whole lifetime of underwater adventure for less than you'd pay for a nice dinner? I mean, it seems way too good to be true, doesn't it?
Well, that's because it is too good to be true. The hard reality, and you need to hear this, is that in the world of scuba, that super low advertised price, it means pretty much nothing. It's just a hook. The real price is almost always hiding somewhere else. So, what's the deal? Why do dive shops even do this? Let's pull back the curtain and see why that tempting sticker price is really just the tiny, tiny tip of the iceberg. It's a classic business move. You've seen it before. It's called a loss leader. The whole idea is to get you in the door with a crazy cheap course, because they know they're going to make their money back selling you overpriced gear or tacking on a bunch of other fees later on. Seriously, think of it just like a car dealership advertising one car for a rock-bottom price, just to get you on the lot. And here's where it gets serious. You might be thinking, okay, so what? I'll just take their cheap course and I won't buy their stuff. But a cheap course can be a really bad deal if it means they're cutting corners on your training. Your safety underwater. I mean, that is just not the place you want to be bargain hunting. To really get the full picture, we have to deconstruct the whole certification process. Let's break it down piece by piece so you can see exactly where all these potential hidden charges are lurking. Okay, so every single certification course, no matter where you go, is built around these 4 key parts. It starts with some prep, then you move into the academics, the theory. After that, you get your first breaths underwater in a pool, which they call confined water. And finally, the grand finale, your open water dives to show you've got the skills in a real-world environment. Let's start with the classroom stuff, the academics. That initial price, it probably doesn't include the cost of the online learning modules you have to do. Sometimes you even have to pay the training agency for that directly. And what about physical books, or your official logbook, or dive tables? Yep, these are often extra costs you have to ask about specifically. Next up, your pool sessions. Is the fee to actually use the pool included in the course price? How about parking? And this one's a biggie. Is the rental for all that heavy gear you're going to be using in the pool covered, or is that a separate charge every single day? Now for the main event, your open water dives. This is where some significant costs can hide. If your dives are from a boat, listen up. The boat fee is almost always a separate and pretty substantial charge. You might also have fees just to get access to the dive site, plus parking, and again, gear rental if it wasn't already bundled in. And just when you think you're done, there can be a few final surprises. Some places actually charge you an extra fee just to process your certification card, your C card. Tips for the boat crew are often expected, and your transportation to and from the dive sites? Yeah, that's pretty much never included. Okay, let's switch gears. Literally. Let's talk about one of the biggest variables in your final cost, scuba equipment. This is where you've got a big decision to make between renting and buying. Look, for things like hygiene, comfort, and just getting a good fit, you are definitely going to want to own your own mask, snorkel, booties, and fins. The really big ticket items, though, like a dive computer, a regulator, and your BCD or buoyancy compensator, you can usually rent those when you're just getting started. But here is a huge, huge warning. Renting gear can save you money up front, for sure, but poorly maintained or ill-fitting rental equipment can absolutely ruin your first time diving. Seriously, a leaky mask or a regulator that doesn't feel right isn't just annoying, it can feel unsafe. It might even make you think you don't like diving when the real problem was just bad gear. Okay, so with all these things to think about, how do you actually make a smart choice? Well, it all comes down to asking the right questions. Here's how to become an informed shopper and find the perfect course for you. Before we even get to a checklist of costs, you need to remember the most important factor of all. This isn't just about the price tag. It's about the person who's teaching you. The right instructor, that is the single most critical factor in becoming a safe, confident, and happy diver. And to help you compare apples to apples, here is your secret weapon. This is a cost comparison checklist. It lists out every single potential fee we've talked about, so you can walk into different dive centers and get a clear, itemized quote for the total price. No more surprises. Using the checklist is super simple. You just go down the list and ask the dive shop. Are the academics included? Check. Are boat fees included? Nope. Okay, how much are they? By the time you fill this out for a couple of shops, you will see the true cost of each program, not just that misleading sticker price. And here's the bottom line, what it all adds up to. This chart shows the dramatic difference. While a course might be advertised for as low as $50, the realistic all-in final cost is typically going to land somewhere between $500 and $1,000. And that's before you buy any of the major gear.
So let's wrap this all up with the most important way to think about this decision as you get ready to start this amazing journey.
I want you to remember this piece of advice. You are only going to get scuba certified for the very first time once in your life. This isn't something you want to have to redo later. It is the foundation for every single dive you will ever do for the rest of your life. So you've got to make sure you do it right. So, you see, the goal here isn't to find the cheapest piece of plastic with your picture on it. The goal is to invest in an experience that gives you high-quality training from a great instructor, one that leaves you feeling safe, confident, and just totally excited to get out there and explore the underwater world. So, as you start your search, the question you should be asking yourself isn't just, how much does it cost? Instead, ask this, what kind of diver do I want to become? The answer to that question, well, that's what's going to guide you to making the absolute right choice.